I've been working with family farmers since 2013. At my law firm, Wagner Oehler, we've been doing it for over 50 years. But sometimes clients will ask me, did you grow up on a farm? Or they'll ask, do you still help out on the farm? Or how did you get into farm estate planning? And in this video, I want to take you beyond the law and take you back to my roots, show you what goes on in my world when I'm not talking and working with family farmers. So watch this video to learn more. Hi, I'm Jason Wagner, the farm lawyer. I work with family farmers every single day to help them pass the farm on to the next generation. At my law firm, Wagner Oehler, we've been doing it for over 50 years. In this video, I want to show you more of my connection to farming, and I took some video last week of me out there planting soybeans. This is the second year that I've planted soybeans. Not a lot. I did a 30-acre field. That's about what I did last year. And I'm using some equipment that's been on the farm for decades, been doing the hard work every year, coming back and getting it done. But it's, for me, still pretty intimidating. I don't really, once you get up there, you can keep going, but it's definitely a change of pace from working with documents and talking with farmers, and some frustrations and challenges, but made it through. Of course, this was just one day for me to get this field planted. Not my life, but it's fun to do it and at least keep that connection to what I grew up with and with my clients. So what I've got running here, it's a 6-inch drill, 12 rows, and planting this 30 acres that's been tilled up by my uncle. So I'm gonna get into it and see what happens. Okay, so here we are up in the cab of the tractor. It's pretty loud, so I've got my ear protection in. It was a pretty nice day that day. It was clear. It had been dry, so didn't have any wet spots that I had to worry about. It did get pretty warm. No AC in this tractor. I did come out at one point in time over my lunch break, and I got in my truck and it said it was 90 degrees, but not too bad. It had a little breeze going through the cab. Pretty dusty out there, pretty dirty. Pretty well covered in it by the time I got done. So here, this is the first round, first of several. This one we had 6 rows on the headland, and then I got into doing some shorter rows coming up from the bottom, trying to follow the contours in there. Overall, that went pretty well. Field I planted last year I thought was much more challenging, a lot more shorter rows, and the ground was a little bit looser, and it was just a smaller, tighter field, so it was a bit of a challenge. This one I thought went a lot better. Some long rows, especially in the beginning, so it was about a 15-20 minutes to do the headland rows and get it shorter before they got longer again. Felt like it took quite a while to get out from the bottom once I got back in there. And on this one, stopped a few times to fill up the bean hopper, make sure everything was still running the way it should be. Saw a big pheasant out there. It was a really big pheasant, which is nice because I hunt this. I don't do a lot of pheasant hunting. I usually get a license just in case, but it's fun to see the pheasants are kind of making a resurgence. It seems we see them all the time now. Versus when I was growing up, we didn't see a whole lot of pheasants. So this farm here is pretty close to where I grew up, just actually right in between my parents' farm and my grandparents' farm, and only about a mile and a half one way or the other. Like I say, this is my second year actually farming it, but my grandpa and my dad have been farming this field for a long, long time. But I was fortunate enough to get the opportunity to plant it myself and farm it. I also hunt on this farm, got a tripod stand. I've taken a couple deer out of this field. It's not real heavily wooded. It does have a slough running through it that divides the field pretty much in half. And, the woods get a little bit thicker than you might realize from the road, but overall it's not a huge grove or anything like that. It's more of a transition path. And there's not a lot of big, heavily wooded parcels around, so it also doesn't act as a huge travel corridor, but we do see plenty of deer out there, especially during the early season, bow hunting before the crops are taken out. The deer are protected on both sides of the sloughs, so you feel a little more, sheltered. But yeah, once the corn comes out, you can see straight through the woods, just because it's not that wide. It is long, but it's not terribly wide. But like I say, I've had some luck in there. It is a place to hunt. A little extra benefit out of it for me, anyways. I know not all farmers hunt or even care about hunting, but it is one of the things I like to do. And part of my family tradition. My brother and I have been hunting together since back when 13 or 14, and it's part of how we feed the family. So, a lot of people ask me, why did you end up working with farmers? Why are you a farm lawyer? And of course, growing up around agriculture and in farming makes a big difference. I can walk in and talk with a client, and I know a lot of the challenges that they're having. I know that some of the conversations they're having at home or not having at home that are going through their minds. So I think that does help a lot. But really, when I was in law school, I wanted to be an attorney, but thinking about what do I want to do with this degree, and I had never really thought about the idea of farm estate planning. And it was a conversation that actually came up when I was down at a grain elevator helping my grandpa, the guy at the elevator, move some augers around. And, the guy says, well, what are you doing? I said, well, I'm in law school. He says, what are you going to do with that degree? You're going to help farmers figure out what they want to do? And it really wasn't until that he said that it really struck me that, oh yeah, that is something that someone with a law degree can do. And ever since then, that's what I wanted to do. So I started asking around, who does farm estate planning? And it was actually my mother-in-law that introduced me to Bill Oehler. And so I tracked him down, and I saw that he works with a lot of farmers, and he'd been doing it for quite a long time. And so I pestered him for quite a while to see if he would give me some work so I could come in and learn what he does. Did that for a couple years, and then I told him, hey, I'm going to be graduating. I need a job. Work for you. I'd like to. And, so that took a few more months of pestering him to actually get him to offer me a job, and finally did. That's where it started. Is first job out of law school, Wagner Oehler, working with Bill and Robert, learning the ropes of farm estate planning, and I haven't left since. So kind of one and done. Just find that first job and stick there. But when you're working with family farmers, it's not just about documents. It's not just about how do we make things happen most efficiently. That part is often the easy part. The hard part is the conversations about the distribution. Okay, we know that we're going to have this trust-based estate plan. What happens next? How is the land going to get divided? How is the machinery going to be handled? Did you think about the grain bins and the dryer and everything else, or the dairy barn, or the hog barn? We need to know all of these pieces. And then, what about the non-farming pairs? They shouldn't be left out of it. How do we handle them, treat them fairly, but not drop a bomb on the farm that our farming heir has to clean up the pieces of after we die? And that is the challenge. And knowing the mindset of my clients and knowing the values that they carry that I share with them really helps me do that type of work. And it's very rewarding. You know, when you're in farming, it's all about legacy. I've had clients say to me, I'm going to be the one that ends this. I'm going to be the one that loses the family farm. And they carry that weight with them every single day. I get that. I know what that's about. But it's also why I enjoy working with farmers so much. Because we're not just passing on assets. These aren't just dollar bills. It's so much easier to divide money than it is to divide dirt. And where we can, I think, really get into a lot of issues and misunderstandings is we try to equate money with dirt. And that is just not the way the world works. Not in farming anyways. So, you know, through the work that I do, I get to help other people create that legacy of continuing the family farm. Same time, you know, I'm attracted to the estate planning as a practice because not only am I helping other people create legacies with their farms and businesses and families, we're creating a legacy here at the law firm of continuing the tradition that Bill Oehler and Robert Ward had for decades before I came along. And I hope to continue for decades after, working with family farmers, continuing that tradition, having that exceptional client service. So it is really a passion that we get to do farm estate planning, helping them with their legacy, and continuing the legacy that we've already have at this law firm into the future. So a little bit more, people ask me, did you grow up on a family farm? I did. So mostly corn and soybeans. There was also a farrow to finish hog operation. And then, of course, at we had kind of the funny farm of whatever, horses, dogs, turkeys, goats, chickens, one pot-belly pig named Pocahontas. So, you know, I spent a lot of summers doing farm work, baling hay, helping put straw bales up, and especially working with the hogs. I actually was in the nursery when I got a call from the dean of the law school asking me if I was going to go there to the University of Minnesota, which I thought was pretty comical at the time. You know, got pigs in the background making noise and squealing and screaming, and I got the dean of the law school, and I'm like, yeah, I'll be there. I'm coming to school, you know, there. I just haven't had a chance to accept the admission yet, but yeah, I'll do that. We'll get it done. You know, not knowing that it would all kind of come full circle, that we'd be working with farmers and doing their estate plans and helping them transition the farm. So this is work that I really enjoy. If you're interested in learning more, check out farmlawyer.com. Follow me on Facebook and subscribe to my YouTube channel.